A millionaire's stepfather steps into a lonely midnight diner and freezes when he finds a young waitress crying at an empty counter. Her hands shake, her voice is barely a whisper, and a worn photograph slips from her apron like a silent plea for help. Robert Hale, a man who once believed money could solve anything, feels something powerful break inside him. The air turns heavy, as if the whole place is holding its breath. He doesn't know her name. He doesn't know her story. But something about her fear feels painfully familiar, and then she says one sentence that changes everything before suddenly going quiet. Robert Hale had lived in wealth for so long that silence felt louder than traffic. His mansion outside Denver stretched wide and polished, but the halls were too quiet, the rooms too large, and the nights too long. He was a millionaire by circumstance, not ambition. He had married into money decades ago, and after his wife passed, he kept the fortune, but lost the warmth that once filled the place. Most nights, Robert stayed awake in his study, staring at old photos and unfinished letters. Ethan Cole, his stepson, and a rising billionaire CEO, rarely visited anymore. Success kept Ethan busy. Pride kept him distant, and grief built a thick wall neither man knew how to cross. The mansion felt more like a museum of memories than a home. That night, the rain wouldn't stop. It tapped endlessly on the tall windows, dragging Robert back to old regrets he never spoke about. Something pushed him out of the house, some restlessness he couldn't explain. He grabbed his coat and drove aimlessly through dim roads, till the glowing sign of a 24-hour diner cut through the darkness like a tired beacon inside. Life looked entirely different. The diner felt small, warm, human. The air carried scents of burnt coffee and late-night waffles. And there, behind the counter, was Emma Rivera, the same woman whose tears had startled him in the hook of this story. Her eyes were red, but determined. The eyes of someone who had survived too many storms alone. She moved with quiet exhaustion, as if each step cost her more than she could spare. The uniform she wore was slightly too big, the apron faded from years of washes. A child's drawing peeked from her, pocket crayons shaped into a crooked house, and the name Lily written in shaky letters. That simple drawing told Robert more truth than any conversation could. Emma worked as if she had no choice. Her phone buzzed constantly with messages she didn't open. When she checked the time, her expression tightened. As though each passing minute pushed her closer to something she feared, Robert sat at a far booth, observing quietly. He didn't mean to stare. But something about her reminded him of a promise he failed a long time ago, one that still ached whenever he thought of children who had to grow up too fast. Emma tried to hide her struggles, but small details revealed everything. A folded notice sticking out of her bag. The way she counted coins before starting her shift. The way she flinched whenever the diner door swung open. There was a heaviness around her, a history that weighed more than her thin shoulders should ever carry. Robert felt a pull he couldn't explain. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was the echo of the life he once wished he could fix. He thought he came here only for coffee. He thought he would leave unnoticed. But then Emma looked directly at him as full of fear, pain, and something else he couldn't name. And just as he opened his mouth to speak, the diner door slammed open behind her. Emma's face drained of color, as if the very person she feared most had finally found her. The diner door slammed so hard the windows rattled. Emma stiffened as a tall, shadowed man stepped inside, dripping rain onto the tiles. He didn't speak, didn't even look around. His eyes went straight to her. Robert watched the fear rise in her face like a tide. She didn't greet the man. She didn't move. She simply whispered, "Not tonight. Please." The man scoffed under his breath and walked back out as suddenly as he had appeared, leaving the door swaying in the wind. Emma exhaled shakily and gripped the counter for balance. The moment he was gone, Robert stood. He didn't know who that man was, but he knew what fear looked like, real fear. It's the kind a person carries after too many battles lost in silence. Emma tried to compose herself. She wiped her hands, straightened her uniform. But nothing could mask the tremble in her voice when she asked, "Can I get you anything?" "Just a coffee," Robert said softly. "And are you all right?" She forced a smile. "I'm fine. Just tired." But her tire didn't look like a long shift. It looked like a long life. Robert studied her carefully, not with pity, but with concern that came from somewhere deep. He'd seen that same expression on himself after his wife passed, a look of someone holding everything together with threads that kept snapping. Emma poured the coffee, but her hands shook so much that the pot clinked against the mug. Robert gently reached out. "You don't have to pretend with me." Those words nearly broke her. She blinked fast, trying to hold back tears. "I have a daughter," she whispered. "She's only 6. I'm doing my best. But sometimes it feels like my best isn't enough." Robert's gaze dropped to the child's drawing peeking from her pocket. "Lily," he murmured. Emma nodded, swallowing hard. "She's everything I have, and I can't lose her." Before he could ask anything else, her phone buzzed on the counter. She grabbed it quickly, shielding the screen. But Robert caught a glimpse final notice. "Rent overdue." Emma silenced it instantly. "That's nothing," she said, voice cracking. Robert didn't push. He knew pride. He'd lived long enough to see how it kept people standing, even when the world tried to knock them down. "Emma," he said slowly, "if you ever need help, know." "What?" Her answer came sharp, almost panicked. "I can't take anything from anyone. I've made that mistake before." She turned away as if afraid she might say too much. Robert could feel a storm building inside her. A few minutes passed in heavy silence. The diner's neon lights flickered, the rain intensified, and Robert sensed there was more she was hiding, much more. Then, as Emma wiped down a table, the faded photograph slipped from her apron again and fluttered to the floor. Robert bent to pick it up. He froze, his breath caught. The entire diner seemed to still around him. In the photograph, a younger Emma held a baby Lily. No doubt, but standing beside her was a man Robert recognized instantly. Someone from his past. Someone who should have never been anywhere near her. Robert's voice came out low, shaken. "Emma, how do you know him?" Emma's face went pale. She snatched the photo from his hand. "I told you," she whispered, stepping back as if cornered. "I've made mistakes." Before Robert could speak, the diner's lights flickered violently, then went out. Total darkness swallowed the room. And in that darkness, a familiar voice outside called Emma's name. Firm. Cold. Too close. The kind of voice that meant trouble was about to walk right back in. Asterisk, the diner lights flickered back to life, humming weakly, but Emma didn't move. She stood frozen, staring at the front door as if it held every nightmare she'd been running from. Robert stepped beside her, not touching her, but close enough that she knew she wasn't alone. Outside, footsteps crunched through the wet gravel. Slow, deliberate. Emma whispered, "I thought he left." "I thought he wouldn't come back," Emma, Robert said gently. "Who is he?" She opened her mouth, but the words trembled and died. Instead, she grabbed her bag and rushed to the back room, disappearing behind the swinging door. Robert followed at a respectful distance, stopping at the threshold. Inside, Emma was stuffing papers into her backpack, rent notices, medical bills, and fragile drawings by Lily. The bag bulged like it was holding her entire life. "It's not what you think," she said, breath hitching. "I'm not in trouble with the law or anything. I'm someone he believes he still owns." "Who?" Robert asked, his voice steady but firm. Emma hesitated. Then she pulled out a small legal envelope, worn at the edges. Inside was a restraining order filed months ago, but stamped as expired. Robert felt a chill climb his spine. "Emma, he's your ex." She nodded, tears building. "He took everything from me. My savings, my peace, my confidence. When Lily was born, he disappeared. Then one day he came back, demanding money I didn't have. When I refused, he threatened to take her from me. Said no one would believe a waitress over him. So I ran. I changed towns. I changed jobs. But he keeps finding me." Robert swallowed hard. Emma's story struck closer to his past than she could ever know. Years ago, someone Robert cared about had been trapped in a similar situation, someone he hadn't saved in time. That guilt still lived inside him. and Emma's trembling voice ripped the wound wide open. Before he could speak, the diner door chimed again. This time it wasn't the ex. It was Ethan Cole, Robert's stepson, sharp suit, jaw tight, eyes scanning the room like he'd stepped into a crisis meeting. Ethan rarely involved himself in Robert's life unless something threatened their public image. Tonight, his expression held irritation more than concern. "Robert," Ethan said in a controlled tone, "why have I been getting calls about you being here in the middle of the night? And why is a photo of you sitting with a waitress circulating online already?" Emma shrank back, mortified. Robert's voice hardened. "Ethan, not now." "Oh, it has to be now," Ethan replied. "You're trending. Dad, a billionaire CEO stepfather doesn't just show up in stories with crying waitresses. People are asking questions." Emma's chest tightened. "I didn't ask for any of this," she whispered. Ethan glanced at her, his tone cold. "I'm sure you didn't. But trouble follows people in your situation." Robert's eyes flashed with anger. "Don't you dare speak to her like that." Ethan stepped back, stunned. Robert had never raised his voice to him before the moment could settle. A loud thud came from outside the diner, like someone slamming a fist against metal. Emma's face drained of color again. "That's him," she whispered. The lights trembled. The rain outside intensified, and as Ethan turned toward the door, the shadow of a man moved across the glass low. Creeping. Intentional. Whoever he wasn't leaving until he got what he wanted. Asterisk, the thud against the diner door echoed like a warning. Emma clutched her bag to her chest, trembling so hard her breath shook. Ethan stiffened, trying to assess the situation. But it was Robert who stepped forward first, his voice low and steady. "Emma, stay behind me." Another hit harder. This time made the door jump in its frame. Then a voice seeped through the glass, sharp and venomous. "Emma, open the door. Now." Her eyes filled with tears. "He won't go away. He never goes away." Robert glanced at her, and for the first time, Ethan saw something raw in his stepfather's eyes, fear, mixed with guilt. The kind that comes from failing someone in the past. And Robert wasn't about to fail again. "Call the police," Robert told Ethan. Ethan hesitated, torn between public image and doing what was right. But the look on Emma's face, pure despair, bade him reach for his phone. Before he could dial, the door jolted open a few inches, metal scraping against metal. A hand forced itself inside, pushing, clawing. Emma gasped. "Please," she cried out, her voice cracking, "don't take my daughter away. She's all I have." The words hit Robert like a strike to the chest. That line, those exact words, belonged to another memory, another woman he once couldn't save. The past collided with the present in a painful, tear-jerking burst. Robert grabbed the door and shoved it closed with all his strength. "You're not touching her," he growled. "Not tonight. Not ever again," the man outside snarled. "She owes me." "You don't know anything about her?" Ethan stepped beside Robert, gripping the door too, surprising even himself. "Back off," he demanded. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." A loud clang interrupted him. The side window rattled violently. As if someone was testing it, Emma backed up until she hit the counter, whispering Lily's name over and over like a prayer. Robert's heart pounded. He wasn't just fighting off Emma's past, he was fighting his own failures, his own regrets, everything he'd buried under years of wealth and distance. Then the diner went. Unnervingly quiet, too quiet. Robert held his breath. Emma stopped whispering. Ethan lowered his phone slowly. A shadow moved toward the back of the building, and in that heavy silence, a new sound shattered everything, the unmistakable creak of the diner's rear door. Opening, the rear door creaked wider, letting in a cold gust of rain-soaked air. Emma grabbed the counter to steady herself, her voice barely a whisper. "He's inside." He found another way in. Robert didn't hesitate. He moved toward the back hallway, each step fueled by something deeper than anger, something closer to redemption. Ethan followed, his jaw tight, no longer thinking about reputation or headlines. For the first time in years, he wasn't a billionaire CEO protecting an image. He was simply a man choosing to stand beside the people who needed him. As they reached the dim hallway, figures stepped out of the shadows. The ex. His clothes were drenched, his eyes wild, his posture threatening. Emma. He shouted down the hall. You can't hide Lily from me forever. She's mine. You hear me, mine? Emma flinched as if the words themselves struck her. Robert stepped forward, voice firm. She's not an object, and you don't own her. Or Emma. The man laughed bitterly. You think you know anything? Years ago, her mother worked for some rich family. They tossed them aside like trash. And people like you, he pointed at Robert, you all think you can buy your way into their lives and play hero. Robert froze. He did know Emma's mother. Long ago, too young and too powerless to help, he had watched another woman suffer in silence. That guilt had never left him. And now, standing in front of her daughter, everything snapped into place. He took a breath. Your control ends tonight. The ex lunged. Ethan grabbed his arm mid-swing, shoving him back. Rainwater sprayed across the hallway floor. The man stumbled, reaching into his jacket pocket. Emma screamed, thinking he was going for a weapon. Instead, he pulled out a folded form custody paperwork. I'm taking her, he hissed. Tomorrow morning? I already filed. Emma staggered, gripping her chest. No, you can't. Robert stepped between them, voice steel. You forged that. I can tell already, and you won't win. What? You're just a washed-up stepfather, living off money that isn't even yours. Ethan stepped into the light, eyes blazing. Maybe so, he said, but I still know how to bury a man like you with the truth. The ex's confidence faltered. For the first time, he looked uncertain. Sirens echoed faintly in the distance. He froze, eyes darting between the hallway exit and Emma's terrified face. Robert took a careful step forward. Leave, he said, and don't come back. The ex backed away. Slipping into the rainy darkness through the same door he forced open, Emma collapsed to her knees, sobbing in relief. But even as Robert and Ethan rushed to her, a new voice called from outside. A voice neither of them expected. Robert Hale? We need to talk. Now. Asterisk. The voice outside the diner was steady, authoritative, but not threatening. Robert helped Emma to her feet while Ethan moved cautiously toward the entrance. When the door swung open, a uniformed officer stepped inside, rain dripping from his hat brim. Mr. Hale, the officer said, we received multiple reports about a disturbance, and he held up a folder. We have updated information regarding a custody filing connected to Ms. Emma Rivera. Emma's breath hitched. She clutched her bag as if Lily were inside it. Robert stepped closer. Is Lily safe? The officer nodded. Your daughter is fine, Ms. Rivera. She's at home, exactly where she should be. A neighbor checked on her for us. Emma's knees weakened with relief. The officer opened the folder and continued. As for the man who was here tonight, his custody claim was based on forged documents. He has a record of similar attempts in the past. With the evidence we now have, there's no legal path for him to take your daughter. None. Emma covered her mouth, tears spilling freely. So, he can't take her? Ever, not unless you allow it, the officer said gently. And something tells me you won't. The words washed over her like freedom itself. Robert felt a weight lift from his chest, weight he had carried for years. He had failed someone once, long ago. Tonight, he had finally done something different. He had stood up. He had stayed. He had chosen kindness over silence. The officer gave Emma paperwork confirming everything, then nodded respectfully to Robert and Ethan before stepping back into the rain. For a long moment, the diner was silent, peaceful. For the first time all night, Ethan finally spoke, soft but sincere. Emma, I'm sorry for how I treated you earlier. I didn't understand. She wiped her cheeks. You were trying to protect your world. I get it. But I was wrong, Ethan said. You were the one who needed protection. Robert rested a hand on his stepson's shoulder, a gesture they hadn't shared in years. Ethan didn't pull away. Emma looked at both men, her voice shaky but honest. I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to, Robert said. Just let us help you start over." For the first time, Emma didn't refuse. She nodded, slow but hopeful. A few weeks later, the diner's neon glow was replaced by a warm afternoon sun outside a small, cozy apartment, and Lily's new place, arranged quietly by Robert and approved by Ethan's team. No spotlight, no announcements. Just quiet kindness. Lily ran into Robert's arms the moment she saw him, her tiny hands gripping his coat. He lifted her icily, heart swelling at the feeling he thought he'd lost long ago. Emma watched with wet eyes. "She calls you Grandpa Robert when you're not here." Robert's voice cracked. I'd like to earn that." "You already have," Emma whispered. Ethan arrived moments later with groceries, awkward but trying. Lily grabbed his hand too, pulling him inside as if he'd always belonged there. Inside the apartment hung a single framed photograph. Emma, Lily, Robert, and Ethan came with Lily's little instant camera. Not perfect, not posed, slightly tilted. But real life had shifted. Not through wealth, not through power, but through kindness, the one thing money could never buy. That night, as they all shared a simple meal around a tiny wooden table, Robert felt something he hadn't felt in decades. Home before they ate. Lily whispered the final words that sealed the story's ending. Clutching her stuffed rabbit to her chest, "We're safe now." "Right," Robert smiled, steady and warm. "Yes," he said, "and no one will ever take that from you." And with that final certainty, the story closed, not with wealth, not with judgment, but with the quiet, powerful kindness that changed all their lives forever.